Yes, sir. Yes, sir. This is the kid Koolaid, and you are under the influence. We in the building right now, live with the homie BJ. What's up, man?
What up, man?
Chilling. It's glad to have you, bro.
Man, glad to be here with you today.
Yeah, thanks for coming through, man. You
Say
was
what's
here.
up to my Facebook Live followers.
Okay, then what's up, everybody in
y'all?
Facebook land?
Yeah.
The homeboy BJ Thompson is definitely in the building.
Yeah.
We glad to have him. We thank the Facebook Live for letting him come.
The whole hive over here.
Hey, y'all see that Falcon cover you repping, huh? That's who about to take it.
Huh?
In 2 weeks. Come on,
Yeah,
now.
I don't know if the Falcons, I hope it's going to be a good game. I really think it's going to be a good game.
Who you was rooting for? Who you wanted to win?
Man, I just want to see a good game.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. Ain't no good game one that's below that. So
Yeah.
if it keep us to the edge of our seats.
Oh, yeah.
No matter who win, to
Long
me.
Atlanta in there.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But so we got you in the building today, man. Can you start off by telling our listeners a little bit who you are?
Yeah, absolutely. So my name is BJ Thompson. I am a Dallas native, not a Cowboys fan. All right.
They win, even though they winning?
Yeah. No, I'm not a Cowboys hater either.
Okay.
So married to my wife this year, 15 years. My wife Vanja. We have 3 children, 13, 9, 7 years old.
Wow.
I also I live here in Atlanta, Georgia. Serve as the director of an organization called Build a Better Us, which is marriage, family development, but also individual development, and then also work with an organization called the NAVs at a school called Morehouse. So
The Navs, is that the Navigators?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Absolutely, bro.
Cool. Well, that's great, man. Y'all been married 15 years.
Yeah, man.
When is y'all's anniversary?
August.
We just
10th.
made our 15 years in January.
Man, congratulations.
2 days ago.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
Yeah, congratulations.
And y'all got 3 kids. What ages you say?
Yeah, 13, 9, 7.
13, 9, and
Yeah.
7. Y'all right there with us.
Yeah, so it's busy.
How old were you when you got married?
Man, I was like, when I think about it, I was in the process of turning 21.
Yeah?
Yeah, I got a story for that, man.
Oh, come on. We be glad to hear it.
Yeah, so we were in the process of getting married. I hadn't turned 21 yet. So for my bachelor party, my friends were taking me out to Dave and Buster's to have, a bachelor party, whatnot. And we got to the door trying to get through, and they asked me for my ID, but I couldn't get in. Right? And I was like, yo.
And where is this again?
Dave and Buster's.
Dave and Buster's.
Because you had to be 21 to get in.
You got to be 21 to get in Dave and Buster's?
Yeah, because they serve alcohol on Friday nights. Absolutely.
That was one. We went to Top Golf recently.
Yeah.
And I was surprised. I was like, oh, they checking IDs.
Yeah. So for my bachelor party, I couldn't even get into the spot because I didn't have ID.
Duh.
Yeah.
So what y'all did?
Just hung out. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
that's
good.
crazy.
It was good.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
You said you was turning 21.
Yeah.
Got 3 kids. And you said it was, give me the ages again, 13?
13, 9, 7.
9 and 7. That's what's up. And you were, how long have you been in Atlanta?
About 2 years, almost 2 years.
2 years?
Yeah.
Okay. Now I know that you are involved in the hip hop scene. Mm-hmm. How did you get your start in being involved? I know.
Yeah.
Back in the day, we used to hear your name all the time in 116.
Yeah.
In the whole clique.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So I don't do any music. So in undergrad, I was a part of a college faith community, and from friends and I served at a juvenile facility. Man, one of the things we just wanted to see change, and really wanted to see change specifically for our context of origin, which is the urban, dense populated cities, and wanted to reach Black and brown folk. And so we started serving at a juvenile
facility. Is there a
facility.
difference?
Yeah, well,
between Black and brown folk?
Well, I mean, see, when you say urban just taking on so many definitions nowadays.
Oh yeah,
we
that's
talking
true.
about gentrification. There's a lot of different things, so you got to be very specific. But we wanted to serve our people, and so we were working at a facility, man, and just cranking it out every week. My friend would do music, I would speak, and we would just kind of go back and forth. And man, out of that, was birthed a thing called the 116 movement. And so my friend Tadashi, a friend named Sho, and a friend named Lecrae. And so, man, really just kind of like out of nowhere, man, this whole movement was birthed, man, and just started just basically by serving other people. So
That's cool. Now you said right now you work with the Navigators.
Yeah.
Was that the same organization back then that you guys worked in?
No, we were serving with our faith community was under an organization called Impact.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Impact.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Cool. How'd you get your start in the Navigators then?
Man, I've been doing development for a long time.
Uh-huh.
A long time. Yeah. So
How long?
Man, for almost 17 years.
How old are you?
36, 35.
Oh, you right there with me.
Yeah.
Okay.
So one of the things we wanted to do early on, I grew up in the city of Dallas. I'm the oldest of three. I always had a desire to be led. My parents, really very diligent, establishing a home of stability for us, but just not really feeling like, man, I had anybody to look up to. And so a lot of the things that I got involved in early on were just moves that I was making on my own, trying to figure out life, trying to make an understanding of who I was and who I was becoming. And so, man, over a period of time, I started realizing, man, I don't know who I am. I don't know what I'm becoming. And I need some guidance. And so had some guys step into my life, started pouring into me. And, man, it just started helping me see that it took more than just zeal and passion. It took intent and wisdom. And so as they were pouring into me, I began to pour into other people. And so just got my development there. Just started the little I was learning, just start sharing with other folks. So, yeah, man.
Huh. Okay, cool. Now, you say you're married 15 years.
Absolutely.
How long did y'all date before y'all got married?
Man. So we dated for about 2 years before we got married.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So that was what? You said you got married when you was turning 21?
Look at you getting all the numbers over here.
And so you started dating when you was
Police,
18?
I need to see some ID over here.
Nah, man.
You gonna ask me for my social name?
Tripping, man. Nah, I try to make a habit of remembering what I hear from people.
So we started. I started dating my wife and getting to know her my freshman year in college. I went to the University of North Texas for my undergrad.
Okay. And would you graduate in?
Sociology.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah. No. I was just saying. So met her then. Man, we clicked. Man, I remember just praying like, man, I need a woman that's gonna be ride or die, gonna love Jesus, but she's gonna be still relevant to where I'm at. And man, I saw my wife and I was like, there's something special and amazing about her, and just got to start and just really began to get to know her. So
okay.
Yeah.
Well, shoes. Now let me we gonna start off there.
Come on.
About with dating.
Come on, man.
And my first question would be dating in the church. So that's kind of actually some of the things I wanted to deal with.
Man, why you want to get me in trouble so early on? Go.
Hey, man. Hey, somebody got to talk about this stuff that ain't nobody talking about.
Yeah.
So what? I don't know. I'm trying to figure out a way to ask it or a way to even get into it.
Yeah.
And that's just. Let me just start off like this. A lot of women say, and I need a woman really. So after we interview you, hopefully we can find a woman that's capable to talk about the subject as well.
Yeah.
But a lot of women say that guys are afraid to approach in church. I mean, that's like the overall number one topic when you discuss with a woman, why you still single. They're going to say, because the men are scared.
Yeah.
What I mean, so what's up? What do you think about that? What do you think? Is that something that you see? And what do you come across as a counselor if you ever counsel anyone pre-marriage?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. So what I believe you're asking me is, women feel a sense of they feel like guys are avoiding them, specifically in a faith context where there's a community of people. They don't feel like they get approached. They don't feel like they get intentional attention in that area. I think this, man, I grew up going to the club, being involved in the larger society, and I remember seeing this whole thing of, there's a ton of guys huddled around in this culture, and I'm not saying there weren't a ton of ladies, but it was more like male kind of driven and male centered. And then when I came to faith, I got involved in this thing called the church.
Ooh,
and I looked up
and
I realized, like, wait, this is female centered. There's many more ladies involved in this. And so I think part of it is, man, there's just such an abundance of women involved in these faith communities.
Right.
And there's so little guys that are consistent, that are visible, and even present. And so I think part of it is it's just disproportionate numbers, right? But then the other thing is, we as men, oftentimes we don't have great role models, and so we either try to carry on the same habits that we used to have, but minus the things that we think we shouldn't do. The perfect example would be you think, man, I'm going to date and pursue a woman the way I'm going to date and pursue a woman in a way that I've always done it, but void of what I believe the boundaries are in this thing. Maybe that's just no physical intimacy, sexual contact in certain ways, but everything else just kind of stays. And so part of it is we need a healthier experience of what it looks like in real time to love and to pursue and to model. And so, yeah, I think part of the reason for that is, as men, one, we're outnumbered. Two, we don't really know what it looks like. And so you find a lot of men paralyzed by it. And the third thing I believe is the reason why men are not as consistent in pursuing single women within this, this institution or these small communities, is they have option overload.
Option overload.
They don't have to choose. Yeah, I mean, like there was a point in time where brother was, he was a 4, right? Outside of this context. But you get in this scarce environment. What do they call it? Supply and demand and supply.
Yes, but the supply is high.
Yeah, it's like the demand is high, but the supply is low. Right. And I've seen brothers, bless their heart. They're 4, but they can meet and pursue a woman that's a 10. And so you just find like this option overload for a lot of single guys where they don't really know what to choose because for the first time they have a lot of options. So,
wow. Now that option 3, I never thought about, but I know that it exists.
Yes.
Because whenever I was young, that was the problem. Because I found myself, I grew up in a large church. It was like 1,000 people. The youth group itself probably was like I think close to like 50 to 100 strong, but it would be so many, and then I don't know what to say.
Absolutely, because
after a certain number, your confidence is like, man, nah, because she looks too good. I don't even know what to say.
Not qualified. Yeah.
Right. And so. So then what do you say to that? I mean, so you said one was over-womanized. I definitely see that in the church. Yeah. It's more women.
Absolutely. And
they're in leadership roles, or they're so close to it, and they know so much. They're driven to pursue the Lord, and it's like they're I was reading in a book yesterday, and it said, I can't remember exactly how it said it, but as far as pursuing the Lord and drawing closer and always with their minds attended to Him and what's right, women are. Yeah. Men
absolutely
are not as driven for that.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And then you said the other one was they don't know how.
Absolutely.
But this third thing, I think, can you touch on that for the brothers then? I mean, because if you don't know how, the second part you said you don't know how a relationship is supposed to look like in the church, and there's actually a part we can deal with on that too. So let's back up. Yeah. Let's say first the not knowing how. What role do you think the church plays, and do you ever see an issue where the church plays too great of a role, or they're too involved, or should they be more involved, or what?
That's a great question. So
talk about that for a second.
Health is always the outworking of healthy people and healthy habits. And then the opposite is just as true, right? Dysfunction is the outworking of dysfunctional or unhealthy people and unhealthy habits and routines. And so I think part of the crisis that we're seeing now, this bubbling culture of cognitive dissonance of what it means to pursue.
Wait. I'm trying to keep up. You said the bubbling culture
of cognitive dissonance. This idea of like,
I don't know what that is.
Yeah. So this whole idea of like, I know what's true. I know how this should happen, but I don't know the practical steps. Like, it doesn't make sense for me to be, I don't even know how it really actually happens, right? Because I think a lot of us already believe we know what it should look like in a general sense. But when it comes to the application of those things, most of it is very vague, it's very mystical, it's very idealistic.
Or you better say that.
Yeah, or it's very like fatalistic in how it kind of carries itself. And so, one, I think that because that culture exists, men have to be more intentional to connect with and to put themselves around healthy older men. Right? Because
I've heard you say this before.
Yeah, because you can only be what you see. And so if you never get to experience and to see who you could be, then you only will be who you've always been, right? And so I think part of it is just you have to be able to see it too. You have to reinform your mind, right? It's what we do with children. We reverse engineer them, right? They come out the womb totally self-absorbed, and we see like, man, you are fragile, you are beautiful, but this tendency to bring inwardly all the attention to self is self-destructive. And so what we do with babies is we're reverse engineering them. We recognize, you know what? We can't just take you and say, well, you just get up and walk and fix your food and live life and pursue. We say we're going to gradually wean you off this idea of being self-absorbed to be sacrificial and servant towards others. And so what I would say is part of the thing that we also have to do is we have to reverse engineer the way we think about things and recognize part of this journey of maturity is relearning truths, right? They call it internal imprinting, where you take something that happened. Let's just say something happened when you were a child, and you wanted to express your feelings, but your parent just would say, you shut your mouth, right?
Yeah.
Well, if you hear that long enough, your brain starts to imprint. When I get the inclination to want to say something that I feel or share something that I feel, then I need to shut down, right? What a problem with imprinting is you can imprint not only healthy behaviors, but you can imprint dysfunctional behaviors, right? And so I think part of what we need to do is we need to be okay with relearning this thing, right? And so I would say that as a person that wants to pursue health as an individual as well as health as a couple, you got to be okay with relearning, right? And so instead of me saying, man, I get it, I'm married, I've been doing this for a long time, man, I actually read. I read about relationships.
That's true.
I go back through in my story and I go, man, what happened in this area? So yeah, those are things I say.
Okay. So now, then, if you don't know how to deal with it, how do you the third? I'm sorry. If you don't know what it looks like, relationships, and then you get around people who can model that or tell you what what you should be doing while you're in relationship or in a dating relationship. The third thing you said we want to address, and that's because there's 10s everywhere. Now my confidence is a shot, and so I don't know what to say. What do you tell brothers then that find themselves in some
You mean like one line pickup line? Like
with shoes. I mean, come on, some of them. So brothers can use that. Man. And is that wrong though? And then that's actually another question. After that, we're going to talk about should you be testing the waters and in different relationships? Should you be dating one girl, out with one girl tomorrow, out with another girl the next week? And we're going to talk about that too. So go ahead.
Yeah. So the question is
10s everywhere.
How do you deal with it? You got to choose one. I think the problem is we think we have a ton of options. I mean, like, again, there's nothing wrong with you getting to know folk. And, the basis of all relationships is a friendship, right? And so I would even say this. If you're unable to have healthy friendships, you're going to struggle to have a healthy relationship, right? And so the first thing is, can you just be friends with the opposite sex? If you can't, you're going to find yourself in a lot of situationships, right? With a lot of folk that you should have never really been around, or you should have never been engaging in that certain way. And so when I would say, if it's 10s everywhere, man, can you just be a good friend, right? And learn how to have platonic relationships where you're not trying to get at everybody that you see. So that's the first thing I would say. Second thing I would just say is, man, are you okay with, is your standard for pursuing, is it a healthy standard? Right?
What's a healthy standard?
Like your list, whatever your list is. Like, she got to be this tall, she got to look like this, she got to have this background.
Is that okay? Because the woman got that list, and that list
I don't know
is bigger
if
than the mug.
Yeah, they do, but I don't know if they really believe in it. I think women have that list, but they'll quickly let it go when they feel like, I'm loved, I'm accepted. I've seen a lot of women let those things go. So what I would say is, I think the list, there's nothing wrong with having a healthy list. The problem is most of the time our lists never don't come under scrutiny. So we really don't know. Is this something I should be able to bend on, or is this a non-negotiable, right? And so so I would just say the other way that one of the other ways that a man is able to pursue in the sea of different options is, man, he has to learn, man, this is really just, these are the non-negotiables, and I need to hold these with a loose hand.
Right. This is things that I would like, as opposed to this is things that I need.
Absolutely. And let me get one last thing, and I want to hear the next question.
Yeah.
You need to figure out how the progression of the relationship, where it starts with a friendship. Do you see any friendship moving towards romantic connection, right? So here's the thing. Yeah, you have a tons of friendships and you're learning how to be a healthy friend. But there may be in that friendship circle where you go, man, I feel like we have a more romantic connection. And that's where you want to start, investigating, asking questions. Man, do you have a chemical imbalance? I think we need to start asking that, or even like looking for that, right?
No, you're right.
And I'm not saying
you're right, because that points to a thing later on when you get into marriage. Then you realize, dang, something was wrong.
Absolutely,
I should have seen that.
And that's not a deal breaker. But you need to be able to say, man, I'm willing to take on that.
Right, because that's what's going to cost, and you don't even know it.
Yeah. So the last thing I would say is, as you learn to move through this friendship, and you start saying, man, some of this is turning into romantic kind of connection, then you decide in the midst of that sea, man, out of all these friends, I'm really starting to feel a romantic connection with, Erica. And that's when you get to observe Erica and say, man, is this a mutual thing? And then two, as I'm observing her, is she embodying some of those non-negotiables that are healthy in my life? So yeah, that's what I would say.
Okay, well, cool. We're gonna touch on that a little more.
Okay.
In this form, so you meet Erica.
Okay.
You realize out of all the Christian friends that you know that are females,
or just friends,
right? That are just friends.
Yeah.
You want to pursue Erica. But you don't know how Erica feels. And because as guys, we think we got the game. Some of us do. Well, and so the part of, and also then let's because we got to do both, and I would actually much rather speak to the ones who don't got the game, who don't learn the game until they're so far in, they're already hitched.
Absolutely.
And now you know the game, but you already got yours, buddy. So that's over with. You can't even explore the game because you already got it. Right.
You already got yours.
Right. You are. But to those who may have the game and you think, okay, I like Erica, and she's somewhat sending me some signals, and I want to explore that. So then you say, Erica, let's go out on a date. Will you go out? Let's have dinner. This is a question we posed to our Under the Influence listeners last night. So you and Erica go out.
Okay.
Y'all get to the dinner table. She expresses right then that, nah, we just friends, or I'm just your friend. Is it wrong then for the man to say, because this is going to be ratchet once you hear the end of the question, you're like, oh, this is ratchet. But then you're going to say, is it wrong then for the man to be like, okay, then we splitting this bill? Because I was going to pay. But now that I see that we're just friends, and because in my mind, no one man, and this is what I've said. Now I could be wrong, and correct me if I am. In my mind, no man is going out with a girl with no intentions. No man does that.
I agree.
If I ask a girl, we going out to dinner, I'm intending to pay, yes, because I want some of your time and I want your attention and I like the way this is going. So we fixing to go out. But then when we get to the dinner table, you say, nah, this is just friends. So now immediately I'm kind of hurt. I'm shook.
Yeah.
I might not show you that right then, but when that bill come, I'm thinking, oh yeah, then I'm not. I got extra money for dessert now.
Yeah.
If I don't pay for you, because you're not giving me no good. So here's the ratchet part about me, and so this is kind of petty, but then you feel like you're not giving me no good feeling. Well, at least this molten cake with this ice cream will, and if I don't pay for you,
you're petty wop.
You're that guy. I could get this ice cream and cake.
Ladies, don't go out with Donald. Don't go out with his brother.
Donald already married. I'm 15 years like you, buddy.
I know.
Well, shoot. Hold on. Let me interrupt you real quick. You want some cookies?
No,
I know it's crazy, but my
appreciate
baby girl
thank
makes
you.
some. Okay. No, thank you.
Yeah, So if it, I mean, you're asking me the scenario. If it's a scenario about being out, you want to pursue somebody. I mean,
is he petty? Is that bad if he decides I'm not petty?
I don't feel like it. It may or may not. It just depends on your intention. I mean, if you're doing it to be spiteful and to be slighting, yeah, it could be very petty. But if you're doing it because you really ain't got it and you didn't want to, spend it anyway, but you was going to spend it because you felt like it was more, then I think it's fine. I just think you run the risk. I would say this, though. This is what I was saying about ladies changing their mind. You run the risk of, like, severing a relationship simply because you're not being considerate. Right. And so, again, I think just learning how to be a good friend, period, it'll keep you from being petty when you finally pursue a romantic connection. Right. Because that's what you do. You're learning just to be a friend. And sadly, many of us, even just being married, I didn't learn how to be a good friend to the opposite sex until after I was married.
Bruh.
Right.
That I think is an issue inside. Because same thing.
Yeah.
Same thing.
Absolutely.
I didn't know what it was like until after I had got married. But I think it played a different role with me. And if you don't mind, had you dated up until?
So I have such a ratchet background.
Okay, no, because I wanted you to say it.
Yeah,
I didn't want to put you out there and then you be like, Dad.
And put my business out the street.
Right, but you had dated prior.
Yeah.
And I mean, you was, but see, for me, I didn't.
Oh, wow.
And I tried to, but remember, I told you it was tens everywhere. And I didn't know how or what to say until after I got married. And then I could actually read women better. Yeah. But by that time, it's too late.
Too late, yeah.
I'm in the game. Yeah. And I already got mine.
Yeah, you was already shooting shot.
Right. My shot was gone. Yeah,
gone.
We was off the court.
Game's over.
I'm out. Yeah, I'm off the court.
Game's over, yeah.
Yeah. So, dang, I forgot where I was going with that.
You're asking me about the friendship role because I was saying learning how to be friends with the opposite sex, and I'm just saying,
how can you do that? How can you do that then without going on dates all of the time?
Yeah, I don't
with different women all of the time.
It's just learning how to be among folk without always showing and expressing interest. It's about boundaries, right? Again, just going back to it is just saying many of us we have imprints of what we think relationships are, and so we respond out of that, and so. Maybe you imprinted as a child or as a teen something that was dysfunctional. So your boundaries are off. And so when you engage a person of the opposite sex, instead of being able to feel that platonic connection, nobody's ever helped you see, yo, you a little flirtatious, right? Like you give off a vibe to people that you may not be trying to communicate. And now you're unconsciously, they call it emotional intelligence, right? Like you're unconsciously crossing these boundaries. And now you got connections everywhere, but they're not the platonic friendship connections. They're romantic interests and hooks everywhere, right? And so again, that's why I go back to, you got to be around mature men. You got to be around men that are men and women that are mature, because then they help you see by their actions and by their words, yo, this is what this could look like if you were to, mimic those same things.
So I think I know the answer, but does that then go both ways? Because
Yes.
when you say you need somebody who will teach you not to throw out to throw out signals that you don't really intend to, because you're doing this, but he or she is interpreting it as something else, and I can guarantee you that that's happening. That's why you might need to fall back.
Oh, so ladies overreact all the time.
Yes.
I mean, if that's what you want to hear.
Because that's how Erica winds up at dinner with Johnny.
Absolutely.
And Johnny thinks he has a chance with her because Erica has been throwing those signals.
Absolutely.
And then he gets hurt.
Yeah. Or Erica looks at the scenario and she finds herself like she's overly imposing what she thinks it is, right? Johnny hadn't given out that signal, but because Erica, our imaginary Erica, right? And I hope, shout out to any Erica that I know. This ain't for you.
And Johnny, we're not saying you alone.
Johnny, I don't even know, right? But Erica just doesn't know, like, man, I am starving to be affirmed as a human being. But the way I express it is through making connections through romantic relationships and intimacy.
Wow.
Right? So, so what I would say is, part of it is Erica still has to wrestle with, is she in a place in her own individual health to where it's not that I don't need a man, it's just that I have healthy boundaries so that when I do see that hook or what could look like a hook, I can have soberness in how it's coming across. So yeah, I believe women need just as much intentionality. And the last thing is this, and I want to hear you speak into this. I think sometimes our sisters, because God has given them this like amazing ability to think about their emotions and the intents of their heart, and they can process stuff at a different level. I think sometimes our sisters overestimate their ability to have good discernment. Right? And so you think about that, you think because you think more about it and you can express it a lot more concisely that maybe you have better discernment. And I would disagree with that, right? So, yeah.
Okay. Well, shoot, let's we're moving on now. We done.
Okay.
So we're gonna
shout out to Erica and shout out to the
Johnny.
Sisters. Yeah, and to Johnny.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Now they managed to get together. They hooking up. They're about to get married. Marriage counseling. Can you talk about the importance of marriage counseling? And here's why.
Yeah.
Because, and I'm going to speak from my point of view. And my point of view is somewhat, I guess I would say, anomalic to the traditional church. Because traditionally, churches advocate marriage counseling. I say it's good. But I think a lot of churches wouldn't even do marriages if you don't have the counseling. Can you make a plea for marriage counseling? And because and I will be the guinea pig because I'll say it's not needed because you're gonna marriage counsel and y'all will do scenarios or y'all will ask questions, but and these are some of your words. 1 decade, 2 decades down the road. Now you don't even really love this person anymore, but you went through marriage counseling. You know what I'm saying? So if marriage counseling is supposed to help, what help does it do then if the role playing was 2 decades ago, a decade ago, absolutely. And now you find yourself with real feelings now because that was play. That was why you had good feelings. You felt good. You still loved Erica, or Erica still loved Johnny. Everything was fresh. But now all that freshness has went away. You done got hurt so many times. From that standpoint, can you make a case for marriage counseling?
Yeah. So I think we have a wrong view of discipleship. We have a reactionary discipleship. We have so I'll give you an example. It's the child who's leaving home for the first time. They're the first person to leave and to go to college. And, we kind of linger along that time and just say, hey, just make up your bed, and fix your food and you're fine. Well, as they're starting to leave and we recognize, wait, you're about to make a huge plunge. All of a sudden, panic as a parent swells up in you, and you go, hey, well, you got to do this, you got to do this, you got to start doing this, and you just start overloading people with these weights and burdens because you recognize they're about to make a huge, transition into another state, right? I think that's what we do with marriage as we recognize people are about to make that plunge. That's what I think our marriage counseling is. It's this overreaction of development and discipleship packed into 4 to 5, 6 sessions, right? Called premarital counseling. When you look at the way Yeshua led, though, he didn't wait until he died and raised and was like, yo, everything I wanted to teach y'all, I'm teach y'all right now on this mountain.
That's true.
Right? He started at day 1 reverse engineering, and he said, come see, come follow, come watch me. Right? Then progressively he sat down, here, take this, and I want you to participate in this. I'm going to get the bread, but you're going to pass it out. Then he said, hey, I'm going to stay here, but I want you to go out. And I want you to come back and tell me about what happened as you went out and told people about this message. So what you see with Yeshua is that he is training them over a duration of time from the jump.
Right.
He's not waiting until they get into this deep, dark scenario and everything's crazy. And he already knows the world is crazy. He already understands that they're going to need to be mature. And I think the problem with us is we wait until we feel like you're finally in this situation to be intentional about your growth as a couple, and then we say, well, we just hope it works out. And so, one, I think we need to rethink how we approach discipleship and development of people, whether you're in a faith community, whether you're just, a person around some type of organizational structure. I think we need to rethink that. And the second thing is recognizing that process should yield some form of multiplication at the end, right?
Right.
So if you've gone through this process for 10, 12 years, you should be able to take that process and give it to someone else. And I think that's when we know a couple is healthy. Can they take those same things that you've given them and help walk someone else individually and collecting them through them? So.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
All right. Now we'll jump into to marriage.
Come on.
So, we'll start off with something I think I left off listening to because I was going back and listening. Again, big shout out to the Facebook fam.
Yeah, shout out.
Yeah, that's watching.
Yeah.
You said 10 years down the road, 10, 20 years down the road, when things begin to grow old.
Absolutely.
For some people it happens quicker than that. How do you rebound?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? When you find yourself in marriage and you want to get out. How do you, and you feel maybe like not only is the love gone, but it ain't coming back.
Absolutely.
And you don't know how to make it come back.
Absolutely.
What do you say to somebody like that? I know we jumped, Eric and I, we just jumped 10, 20 years, but often when they need marriage counseling, it's because they in trouble.
Absolutely.
Had they had the discipling throughout the term of the marriage, it might have would have been a little easier.
Absolutely. So one of my favorite illustrations to use is that of your physical health, right?
Okay.
Man, some of us love junk food.
Right.
We love French fries. We love sugars. We love, things that we know naturally not necessarily healthy for us. And we just go with it. It works, right?
Yeah.
I ain't fell out. I ain't had no situations and nothing, right? But it's that moment that you have a dizzy spell. You have a situation where you got some type of ailing pain.
Yeah.
And you go to the doctor.
Yeah.
And for the first time, he or she, right? Because this is lady doctors and female doctors as well. Because you got to say he or she because we're misogynistic, right? But he or she says, "Yo, you have spiked blood pressure. You have diabetes.
Wow.
You have, arteries that if you don't take care of this with your cholesterol, you could die." Right. Now think about that. That's when we want to get serious about health then, right? Like,
now you about to get that gym membership.
Yeah, like I got to go get this. I got to start my January 1 membership. Man, I'm going to eat all vegetables. I'm about to do this whole thing.
Yep.
And here's the reality. You don't recognize that the body is always in atrophy. It's always degrading. It's always falling apart. And so part of being healthy is always fighting for health. Healthy isn't a reactive thing. It's a proactive thing. Right? So what I would say is, in the same way of a relationship, specifically a marriage, and you notice, man, I think this has diabetes, cancer, or whatever. You say, you know what? We're unhealthy. And the habits that we've created, maybe some of the information of how we understand, going back to that imprint idea, maybe the way we understand relationships is off. Maybe we don't even have a consistency of where we're trying to develop a friendship, right? Because remember, the basis of all relationships is a friendship.
Come on.
I can love you and not like you, right?
Yeah.
But friendship helps me like you so that our love allows us to have oneness and intimacy. And so, when you get to that place, and I know a lot of people, because I do a lot of counseling with folk, instead of blaming the other person for the sickness, you got to take personal responsibility and say, man, we have been allowing ourselves to be in a place of being dysfunctional, not pursuing, our spiritual growth, our emotional growth, our relational growth.
Yeah.
And now we got to make some changes. I got to cut sugar out of my diet. I got to drink more water.
Right.
And I have to recognize that all times the dysfunction exists within me. Therefore, I'm always fighting and investing proactively and not reactively to situations.
Okay, cool. Now here I'm finna hit you with something interesting. I'm sure you probably done heard it before, but I feel like it's necessary for you to say. Yeah. So then you say, I am part of the problem.
Yeah.
And so then you begin to fix yourself.
Mm-hmm.
But what about that hopelessness that you feel, because then you're the only person doing the fixing?
Yeah.
And I know that the Bible addresses situations where it may say if the unbelieving husband is doing well to stay with the believing wife, then the believing wife can't put him away.
Yeah.
Now, that's not specifically where I'm coming from, but the idea is, if one person is doing the changing, but the other person is not doing the changing, what do you say to that person then that's doing the changing, but often feels like the other person in the relationship ain't either putting in the work, or they don't care, either the amount of work, or no work? What do you say to that?
There's a difference between prideful and humble transformation. Prideful transformation compares and contrasts itself to other people. Humble transformation and growth looks up and compares itself to its own right standing with the Lord, right? I think a lot of times we
can, and secondly, I need to throw that in there, but answer that one too as well. But can that person be happy?
I think so. I mean, I think you can find hope and joy. I think you can always have hope, joy, and peace, right? That's a fruit of the Spirit, right? I'm not saying that you don't need some collective mediation, counseling. You need some folk in your life that can walk with you through this season so you both can be on the same page.
Right.
But oftentimes we live out of such a self-righteousness that we're looking across the table to the things that disgust us in other people.
Ooh, boy, you better say that.
And we're not looking up to the things that God goes, I need to deal with you in this area.
And
go ahead.
I was gonna say, and either way, in that attitude, that right there, regardless of who's changing and who's not, that self-righteousness and looking across the table is happening, I guarantee, probably with both people.
Absolutely. And let me say this, it's self-righteousness when you are growing in anger and not in empathy. Right? So it's good. It's this microcosm, right?
Good. Okay.
Yeah, it's like the microcosm. Like when I grow in anger towards someone else, it's because I believe that they should just fix themselves. They should just get better. They should change in this moment. When I grow in empathy, it's what Jesus did. When he saw the world, he goes, yo, this is messed up. And then he said, and yet he wept.
Yeah, I was going to say that. And he cried.
Right?
Yeah.
And that's how you're growing in a healthy frustration is your empathy grows.
Right.
Your heart grows because you see, this person is smothered by either a dysfunction or wound.
See, okay. So because I'm afraid if I let you tell, you're going to talk over it, and I'm going to have to come back to touch on something that I actually had already written out, and that was then when you get that empathy. I'm gonna say this, and then I'm gonna ask you the importance, but how. How do you get that empathy? Let's leave it on you, and then we'll see.
How you get empathy?
How do you get that empathy for that person? So what you got is anger,
absolutely,
and self-righteousness.
So one, I would just say empathy happens when you have a sober assessment of self first, right? Too often we like to look at other people. I love what Yeshua said when he said, first, before you take the speck out of your brother's eye, take the log out of your own eye. I think anytime we want to go check somebody else first, we always find ourselves in a position of self-righteousness because we have not dealt with the things that are internal first, right? And so empathy starts with introspection before it leads to observation, right? And so one, I need to be introspective. Who am I soberly right now? Am I angry because, I feel slighted? I feel embarrassed. I feel shamed. I feel guilty. There's something that happened in my past that it's triggering a wound. And now I'm kind of like living in this wound, and now I got to attack you or protect me in this process. And I think as we deal with that introspection first upwardly, and man, we come to the sober conclusions, and I say this all the time, that I am completely a mess, and yet the love of God is meeting me. When I live in that type of conclusion, and I believe that in my soul, whatever the things are, now when I deal with the people that are closest to me, specifically my mate, I go, yeah, you are a mess, but you're also loved by God, right? That's where empathy begins to grow for other people.
Okay. Well, what about this then? What does past experiences have to do then with you gaining that empathy?
Yeah.
Can you touch on that?
Yeah. I mean, I think we think there's something magic that happens, you know, when we have this large moment of faith, or maybe transitions into becoming married.
It ain't magic.
Yeah, it's not magic.
Yeah, it ain't magic.
Yeah, you just now have the power or the responsibility to be introspective about who you actually are, right? And so, you know, I think this whole idea of growing into this process of empathy, it's like it makes me go back on my journey. I got to go back into my journey and go, what are those wounds? What are those things that are like these moments in my life where I look back and I go, I vowed that no one would ever hurt me like this again. Right? Because sometimes we literally live in the present out of the pain of our past. And too often we don't even deal with those things because they're so scary to us to talk about. They're embarrassing. They're painful. But those scars allow us to love the people around us better. And so what I would say is all of us have to have that healthy remembrance of who we are, what shaped us, who are the people in our lives that have impacted us, or people that have hurt us, or things that we've done to hurt ourselves.
I think too, though, it helps when you have that to give you that empathy when you know their past. When that person may have been open about how they grew up or what relationships they had been through, because they're bringing that's coming unless they've dealt with it. They bringing that into the relationship, and once you see it, it teaches how then I can deal with them because they're doing this because of that.
Absolutely,
it has nothing to do with
potentially. Me. Sometimes, and that's why I said it starts with you first. I think is we love to diagnose other people first. We don't want to do the hard work of dealing with me first. And this is what I'm saying. It's like
you might be getting me right there.
Everything starts with me. And I don't mean in a selfish way. I mean in a sober way, right? It's like I'm sober about me first. And as I'm sober about me, now I want to hear about you. Now I want to learn about you. And so I would say before we go to diagnosing folk, because we could be diagnosing them from out of dysfunction. And think they're in the same space, and we don't know. We got this thing protruding out of our lives. Ew. Yeah.
See, I need to get the log out.
Come on, man. Build a better us, bro. BuildABetterUs.com.
Let's jump into that. Tell us about
BBU.
About the organization Build a Better Us.
Yeah, man. So we started an organization in 2009 called Build a Better Us. We recognized that there were not pathways for people to grow. And specifically grow at that point in engagement in marriage. There was no place unless you were going to counseling or unless you were going to premarital. There was not a place for people to grow in a meaningful way. And so my co-director and I, Hassan Salim, go, man, we just got to start something. Let's just be a little intentional. And so we started meeting in small groups with engaged and married folk. And we said, man, we got to create a process. Long story short, man, we recognized this. People would gather in community. People were learning what it meant to lead in love for the first time. I remember a wife specifically calling me maybe a few months into this group, and she's crying. I'm like, what's wrong? She says, because of what you guys have done, this is the first time I've ever had my husband lead our household.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, wow, that's huge. I didn't know that was a big deal. And so BBU exists, Build a Better Us exists primarily to develop people who change the world, right? But in order to develop people who change the world, you got to help authentically change people. And so, yeah, man, we're glowing and blowing. We have tools, resources, experiences, small groups. And yeah, it's been a fun thing. We're really trying to expand because we believe that people hit those hurdles in life, and they want to see change, but they just don't have the information. They don't have access to models. They don't have a format and a process, or they may not be in proximity. And we just want to make that a little bit easier. So
cool. So that's that based here out of Atlanta?
It's based everywhere. Yeah.
It's based everywhere. So do y'all have small groups and stuff that meet in Atlanta?
Yeah.
Where can they go if they want to find out more?
So we're launching our new site March 2017. And it'll have access. People be able to go online, find a group, join a group, start a group. Yeah,
that's a good look. That's a big
absolutely.
Look.
Yeah,
and y'all are everywhere.
Yeah,
even international.
Mm-hmm. Well, we're working on it. We're working on it.
Say West Off way, but y'all on that way.
Hey, we working
y'all
on
the way. That's good, man. That's good. Real quickly, because I know you said you got to go.
Yeah.
So I'm not gonna hold you up too much longer, but you said you have initiatives and different kind of things that you kind of get popping off.
Yeah.
I seen recently. You want to talk something about that?
Yeah, I'll talk a little bit about it. Yeah, I feel like since 2014, man, there's just been a growing cultural tension. We've all kind of felt it. We felt it
definitely
socially. We're feeling it even from our faith communities. We're feeling it from the government. And a lot of energy is going into expressing frustration. I think that's awesome, man. I mean, people feel and they need to be able to vent and to say, man, ouch, that hurts, right? But what I recognized was, man, we needed to be a much more constructive, because otherwise our emotions would lead us to become destructive about society and the whole nine. And so what I started doing is, man, saying, what if we collectively came together? I've been working on just a structure and a process for how we could make meaningful, long-term, systematic change at every level, right? And so, yeah, so if anybody's interested, they can inbox me, they can email me, bj@buildabetterus.com. I'd love to share more about that, and just what we want to see, because really what we want to see is over the long haul, even just for the generations to come, we want to see healthy people in positions of power in a culture that can help trickle that thing down so that we can ultimately transform the systems that we exist in. So
all right. All right. Well, hey, man. One last question. It's easy. What are you reading? You say you in the psychology, right?
Yeah.
So
Sociology.
Sociology. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
That's the study of people. So I know you be reading.
Yeah.
What do you like to read? And I like to watch people watch. So if you can suggest some books for me.
Yeah. I got a bunch of them. So I'm reading The Audacity of Hope with Obama right now.
Okay. Yep.
And I just picked up another book. It's called The Audacity of Something About Obama. So I'm reading Obama right now. Is
it really called The Audacity of Something About Obama?
Well, it's another book that was written based off of The Audacity of Hope in his presidency. Yeah. So I'm reading that now. My book recommendations always Minnesota Black Folk with W.B.
I was about to say it's about to be Black History Month.
Oh, it is.
So folks finna get it in.
Black history is American history. Absolutely.
Right. Yeah. But you know, that's when people be like, "Oh, I'm about to read something. I'm focused now. I'm lasered in on Black folk because it's February
for like 28 days, minus the Grammys, the Super Bowl, the All-Star Game, all that stuff.
Right.
Yeah. So that's what I'm reading right now. I would recommend. There's a couple of books for relationship. There's a book by A.R. Bernard called 4 Things a Woman Wants in a Man.
I got that. Yeah. I recently bought that.
Yeah. It's amazing.
I need to pick it up.
It's amazing. A.R. Bernard has that book.
Yep.
And the last book that I would recommend, because we didn't talk a lot about history, we talked about relationships. I'm finishing a book on emotional trauma. And just kind of what that means for us. And so just trying to study like the human psyche and imprinting and trauma and what they create.
So let me ask you this then. So you read it already, or you starting to read it?
Well, it's a very dense book. Yeah.
That's cool. So I'm wondering if I read it then, because people are always telling me I need to get out of my feelings. Will that show me the path?
Oh yeah, absolutely. No. Yeah, it will. Yeah. No, it will. I mean, no, absolutely. Really, the baseline, and we can end with this. The baseline of the premise of the book is the better you can explain you to you, the more healthier you can become as you experience the world. So.
Well, dang, I made it a joke, but you definitely made it sense.
Yeah.
So that's what's up. Okay, that's good. And then, yeah. Because I do have a hard time figuring myself out, and so I guess that's why I always be caught or trapped in my feelings.
Absolutely.
Well, shoes, man, it's been good for you to stop through, man. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me, brother.
We might have to make you the relationship guy.
Come on, man.
For the show. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, man, we really appreciate it, man. We hope you have a good day, man. And that the Lord blesses you and the
Thanks,
fam.
man. Thanks for having me, brother.
For the work that you do.
Okay.
All right, bro.
Praise it.